Joe, you better have one hell of a good explanation for frightening Heather the way you did in the park this morning.
I do, Peter.
You know, for your information, Diana doesn't want to see you again, and I'm feeling pretty much the same way. So, if I could have an itemized statement...
Peter, if you would, just hear me out, please. I can understand you're being angry, but if you just sit down for a couple of minutes, I think I can clear everything up.
You know, I don't care what your explanation is. There is no excuse for a sadistic trick like that. You know how much Heather loves our son, and to pretend to kidnap him...
I know how much she loves him, very much, too much, and that's the core of the problem here.
Well, what problem are we talking about?
Peter, you told me yourself. Heather's love for PJ was so obsessive you once had to replace her because of it.
Yes, but that was a long time ago, right after she got back from New York and still hadn't gotten over losing her son. But she's resolved those problems.
I don't think she has resolved it, Peter. And since she had that miscarriage in the winter, I think her love for PJ is more obsessive than ever.
Don't you think you're being a little presumptuous to be diagnosing Heather's emotional condition for me? I'm a psychiatrist, remember? And I've seen nothing obsessive in Heather's attitude toward PJ lately.
But I also think she's very good at hiding her feelings because she knows you'll replace her again if you spot them. That's why she undermined Maggie so she could have her old job back.
Well, what does this have to do with that lousy trick you played on Heather this morning?
I played 2 tricks on Heather this morning, and I had very good reasons for both of them.
2?
Well, I don't suppose Heather mentioned the first one to Diana.
Joe, you better get to the point, because I'm getting angrier as this goes on.
Peter, please.
All right, here it is.
Please listen to him.
I called Heather at your house this morning, pretending to be the man that's been calling Diana. Would you like to know what her response was to this?
What?
She asked me if I were Larry Joe trying to be funny, because to her, this was all deadly serious business. Peter, I know that this is going to come as quite a shock to you. But I'm certain now that because of her neurotic need to have your son for herself, Heather is the one who has been torturing Diana all these months. Now, but I couldn't mention anything to you or Diana until I had the proof to back it up.
You have that proof now?
I do. Please sit down. All right. This is a copy of Heather's fingerprints from her employment record at the hospital. This is a copy of fingerprints I took off the master recording device installed in your basement.
Yeah, but there could be a good reason for that.
No, I haven't finished yet. Here is a lab report proving conclusively that segments of the tape in the basement were erased. This accounts for the blank spaces between the conversations.
You think Heather made those erasures?
Not necessarily. I know she had help. This is another set of prints that were taken off that machine in the basement.
Whose are these?
Larry Joe Baker's.
Larry Joe?
He's been in it all along from the beginning. Right with Heather. That's why he's been over at your house so often. Do you remember me asking you why Heather was spending so much time with her ex-husband?
Yes, I do, Joe.
Let me ask you something now that you have this information.
All right, what is it?
Do you remember when you intercepted the phone call that Diana was supposed to get here at the hospital? You said you thought you recognized something in the vocal quality. You didn't know what it was. Thinking back on that now, could it have been Larry Joe's voice you heard?
Yes, now that you mention, I could almost swear it was Larry Joe's voice. I mean, it was disguised, of course, but it had that drawl that Diana detected. Well, I guess it all fits together. I'm just having a hard time accepting it.
It also explains why Heather would call Diana and say she was taking PJ to the park. But when I get to the house 20 minutes later, she was still there talking to Larry Joe and PJ was asleep in the nursery. Now, for your wife's lapses in memory, Anne, would you please tell him about Spence Andrews' medication?
Peter, the day that Diana thought she gave Mr. Andrews the wrong medication was the same day that Heather brought PJ in for a checkup at the hospital.
Yes, I remember that.
Well, I noticed that Heather was following Diana all over the 7th floor that day. And, she even went into the medicine room. I walked into the medicine room at the same moment that Diana stepped outside to put her tray on the cart, and Heather was in there alone. A few minutes later, she went into Spence Andrews' room, and she made up some foolish excuse for being there. And that's when I noticed the extra pill in the medicine cup. So I went to Joe and I told him, and that's when he told me that he already suspected Heather of being behind the problems.
The evidence seems to be conclusive. I just can't believe it. I mean, she's so close to Diana.
Now listen to this. This is a conversation, part of a conversation that I had this morning in the park while Heather thought the baby was kidnapped.
He hasn't been kidnapped, I'm telling you, and the longer we stand here and talk about it, the further away PJ is going to be.
It's pointless to go on looking for him until this man contacts us.
Nobody's gonna contact us. There was never any man on the other side of the lake. I just made him up to scare
You made him up to scare Diana and to throw me off the track? Is that what you were going to say, Heather?
That's it. That's conclusive proof, a confession.